Hey everyone, it's Maydad here from YNV Health and Wellness, and tonight I'm joined with my special guest and good friend Matt Chapman. How are you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm pretty well, mate, Ed. Thanks for having me.
Oh, awesome to have you here. Heard a lot about the good stuff that you're doing, the good work with the neural transformation therapy and the health and wellness coaching. Tonight, I want to chat to you about a few things, and I'm sure our viewers are really watching this back are going to enjoy what you've got to share about your trajectory and the things that you've been through. And the topic that we're going to be talking about tonight is going from a full-term long-term relationship into transitioning into being a single dad. And I know you've experienced that situation, and you've got a lot to share about that for other single dads. So I'm really grateful to have you here tonight, Matt. So without further ado, I just would really like to ask you to tell us a little bit about your background, your journey, and some of the educational things that you've studied and you've done in the past.
Yeah, right. So I guess over my journey, I grew up in like a pretty abusive and like violent upbringing. There was like a lot of loneliness and a lot of that sort of I don't know, not a lot of support. So I guess that over the time when I reflect back at that, it's definitely made me feel like I want to help other people. I want to help other people in that, that journey of discovery of themselves. I guess that's been the biggest thing for myself of recent time. It's it's been there's been a lot of drug addiction for myself, a lot of escaping, a lot of suppression of my own feelings, just and like recently in probably the last 6 to 8 months of my own personal healing, it's been a lot of deeper inner child work, and I feel like that always kind of takes me back to a lot of memories of maybe around the early kind of like 4 to 7 years old. And the more that I've done in NTT and neurotransformation therapy and understanding the psychology behind this trauma that gets trapped in our body and the way that we play that out in our life, it's it's no surprise to me that this has happened at like quite a young age, and it's then going back to that part of having that connection with that little boy inside that is trapped back then, because there's a lot of through my relationships and stuff like that, it's been like you'll be confronted with an argument or something like that, and then I get triggered and I feel like I shut down, and it takes me back to that memory of being in that in the bedroom as a young boy, not in the argument or in the disagreement with my partner at whatever age I was at that time. And I feel like that would be a lot of the viewers, a lot of the listeners would relate to that sort of part. It's we feel like we're our age when we're going about our normal business. Sometimes we feel a lot younger and more vibrant and all that sort of stuff. But at most of the time we feel our age. But when we're in a triggered situation or a place where the other person's confronting us, it's a really valuable question that I ask myself now is, how old am I at this point now? And in them disagreements and stuff like that, it usually takes me back to one sort of key memory, and being in the bedroom as a little boy and hiding underneath my blankets when my parents were fighting, and my mum was locked in her bedroom and my dad was like abusing her, and I felt like I couldn't express my emotions, and if I did cry and stuff, then there'd be repercussions for that. And in that sort of stuff, it definitely entrapped this belief or this this limiting belief in myself that my emotions aren't worthy of being heard, and I'm not worthy of being heard or sharing that. So when I've gone into certain relationships, and I hadn't done any healing around that, then I was, that was my deepest that was my deepest belief of myself, that I'm not worthy of being heard. So then I lacked boundaries, lacked assertiveness. I wouldn't share, like if I shared something and then it became a conflict or disagreement, then I would just kind of shut down and be like, yeah, okay, I'm the issue. I need to do the work, and felt like that all the time. And that come from a lot of lack of boundaries and lack of owning my true masculine empowerment, and knowing, one, foremost, like what I want in life, two, being, having a clear direction, a clear goal and working towards that, and three, like leading and supporting others to have that, like see that direction too, of like where you're going, and in an unshakable sort of way, rather than going, I want to do this, but then you're meeting some sort of disagreement and then going, we'll do that, and being quite flaky with my direction definitely made it harder to, when I got into like relationships, to lead and be assertive and have the other person follow in that sort of stuff. So I guess that for me to leading into being a coach, I did a self-help or self-development course with my mentor in 2021. And that was when I was starting to realize that I wasn't in a relationship that was fulfilling for me, and I wasn't like fulfilling the relationship either. And was starting to kind of step away from that. And then the more of the 3-month course that I did and realizations that I had, then that brought a lot more stuff into enlightenment, and just had a better understanding of myself and where I the shortcomings that I'd had, and a lot of the stuff that I was suppressing and carrying in baggage from not doing any work, I guess, then led me to see the transformation firstly in myself and notice that ripple out to the other people around me, but then also go there's something deeper inside me that actually I want to do this for other people. I want to be able to facilitate and be that light that I've walked that path, and I can and do have the tools to be able to help others to be able to find freedom and clarity in their life as well. So in 2022, then I with my mentor, the same mentor, I did a course where I could step into being a NTT trainer myself, and from then I've just done other trainings and gone on retreats and sort of just followed that journey. I just feel like there's been it's just the next thing comes up at the right time, I feel like, and just following that sort of direction. And then doing my prac level with Luke Hawkins in NTT, and then I went on to do masters and then done a few other online courses, and it just sort of got to that point where I'm like, I feel like I've done enough training to be able to help. If I reflect back, would I be able to help me in 2021 when I first, signed on to get some help and start this journey of my own? And the answer is yes. I'd 100% be able to help that person. So it gets to a point where you're like, I don't need to. Sometimes you get caught in that that sort of, I don't know, you need that next certificate or you need that next qualification or whatever to be able to, it's be the right time. And it got to that point where I'm like, I'm just going to continue to be in the same job for 2 years if I don't pull the pin and just back myself on this. So maybe 3 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I pulled the pin on my full-time job and went all in on my coaching, and since then just done a bit of part-time work, and just picked up clients and started that journey of helping other people to have that transformation as well. So it's kind of like a brief overlay of what sort of got me into that. But yeah.
That's an amazing share, Matt. I wrote down a few things. I don't know if you noticed, I was writing some things down, especially when you talk about barriers and stuff like that. Can you share a little bit about those barriers? That before you do, I just want to welcome Linda. I didn't get to say hello, Linda, here. How are you, Linda? Nice to have you here. If you could talk to us about some of those barriers, what specifically do you mean by barriers? Maybe our audience can get a better understanding of what you mean.
Like, in what part was I sharing about the barriers? Like, just in
you said we were talking about being under the covers because you you heard some abuse going on in the household that that you obviously did not feel comfortable with, and as a result, it affected you in the way that you didn't understand barriers and all that other stuff. And
so I feel like, at that early age, I sort of took on that limiting belief that I wasn't worthy to show my emotions. I was unlovable. I took on a lot of like limiting beliefs in that that earlier sort of formative years of my life. And I believe that then barriers then, like, I'd put on myself that when I got into a relationship and then I'd share my feelings and emotions. I feel like as a child, I used to walk around on eggshells all the time. Like, my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict. My mum used alcohol and stuff as well. And there was a lot of, like, basically nearly most of my memories of every night was them arguing and me and my sister, like, running away from the house. We used to live on properties where there wasn't a lot of people around, so there was a lot of ability for my father to abuse my mother and us as a family. And in that sort of formative years, half the reason why I'm covered in tats and stuff as well is, like, I felt like I sort of, like, locked into this thing where I couldn't protect my mum and my sister when I was, a little boy. And I'd feel like I need to be 150 kilos and covered in tats to be able to protect the ones I love. And it doesn't, the more that I've done on my healing, the more that I realize that the most protection that we can give to the people that we love is to hand down the best version of ourselves and put that barrier in between what we've been given and what we give to our next generation of whether they're our children or just children around us or people around us and stuff. So I feel like the barriers that I put on myself was, I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy of being heard, my emotions don't matter. And when I go back to, like, what I just said before about having walking around on eggshells and stuff, I feel like I would enter a relationship and I speak about one relationship that I had, which was probably the longest relationship, which I share two children in. And I remember early in that relationship, I would share quite open and vulnerably. I find that I'm a very open and vulnerable sort of person, and I want to, like, build connection with others, and I want to, give all of me and be seen and that be okay. But the thing was, I wasn't okay with all of me in myself. So it didn't matter what anyone else thought of me. I didn't like me. So
did you I'm just asking because I'm reflecting on stuff as you speak, and this is a really great thing about talking about people that come on our Zoom and have a chat to us and share. Did you feel that, like, there was parts of you that you completely weren't comfortable with about yourself in like just different pockets of, like, the way that you interacted in certain situations, the way you acted in the past, the way certain events that creeped in your mind that allowed you to feel that way rather than just looking at you as just a whole? Was there little events that kept reminding you of certain situations? And I'll break it down to it this way. Basically, I remember there were moments in my life as a child where I uh, wasn't embarrassed or appalled by my behavior, but I just didn't know any better. And when I look back in hindsight now, I know much better, and I'm never going to act that way. But was it more like that, or?
Yeah, I think I held a lot of guilt and shame, like for me personally, and I understand the question that you're asking there. So for me, I held a lot of guilt and shame, and I feel like I held a lot of guilt and shame for not being able to protect my mum and my sister in that part. And then as I got older, I started using drugs and alcohol and stuff with my father, and joined like the perpetrator rather than being the victim. So once I got into that relationship, then I held a lot of, I'd come out of rehab. I went to rehab, and then come out of rehab, met my partner, and she didn't use like drugs and alcohol in a problematic way. So she still, would have a drink and go out and have a good time and stuff. But it was never a problem for her like it was for me. So I felt like I'd put this guilt and shame on myself that I was a drug addict. I'd grown up in like this abusive childhood. When I was using drugs and stuff, I did things that I, am not proud of, and hold shame for, or even just to that sort of part where I joined the perpetrator rather than being the victim. And, then I was going against the people that I wanted to protect too. And I guess that was my way of coping with, I was always searching for a relationship with my father. As a little boy, like I think that any little boy would love to have a close relationship with their dad and a healthy relationship. And I found like neither of them things, but I found a relationship with him using drugs. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. Keep going. Sorry, it's
yeah.
Gee.
So by the time I'd found that, got into the relationship or whatever, I'd come out of rehab, and then I'm like, I felt like I was quite low on the social, like economical sort of thing, that I'm a drug addict. I've grown up in this sort of childhood. I've left school early. I just held a lot of guilt and shame on myself. So then when I got into that relationship, I put my partner up on this pedestal that you're perfect and I'm the problem. And I'd maintained that the whole way through. And going back to what I was saying before about walking on eggshells and stuff, I would share quite vulnerably about my story and be like, this is what I grew up in, these are some of the stories. And I say it quite, like that's my experience. That's what I know. So I don't know what it's like I can fathom and go, I'd love to have a different experience, but I didn't. So that's all I know. And then when I share that to other people, sometimes they kind of just look at you with a bit of like shock, or like they're like, how did you grow up in that? And you're like, so normal, or whatever their sort of blank face is.
Yes.
But because I was so used to like that sort of thing, I'd feel like I have to make that person smile or that person kind of laugh or whatever. So I'd kind of manipulate what I was saying to get the reaction on their face that I felt accepted, or felt like, I just felt accepted, I guess. And with that, then I was kind of always bending, like I wasn't lying about it, but I'd say what I'd have to say to get that reaction.
Pleasing people and accommodating other people's needs, and that do you feel that it was almost like everything was so conditional? Like, I'm listening to everything you're saying, and this is what I love about what I was saying about these Zooms, and it enables me to reflect, and I'm sure it enables anybody watching this, Nadia and others here today, but I know that my father always wanted us to play sport and that, and if we didn't play sport and we didn't do what he was right, what he wanted to do, is that's what the relationship was based upon. He never knew what music I listened to. He never really knew what food I to eat, sorry. So it was almost like it was a set relationship based upon what he liked, what he wanted me to do, and how he wanted me to live. And if I didn't live that, there was really no relationship. Even up till now, I have a good relationship with Dad, but it's nowhere near where it should be. And it's not because of my doings. It's just the way he's geared up. And I look at it so many times, and I used to beat up on myself a lot. Why don't I have the validation? Why don't I have the respect that other kids have? Why don't I get the presents that other kids get? Because there was a point in my life where when you talk about going into drugs and doing all that stuff, I never went and did drugs, but I went and did other stuff. Like I jumped fences and broke into shops and climbed up, broke into schools and just ran amok, but I was never doing drugs and that, but there were my childhood needs that weren't met. And that was a part of me that I found validation within myself until one day I did something and I came back home and I was sitting on the side of the bed and I had the stuff that I had with me and I realized I don't need to do this. This is ridiculous. And from that point onwards, I changed. And it wasn't because I was criminal or something. I just wanted to be validated. I wanted to be loved. And I was seeking that relationship in others. But I really relate to what you're saying, Matt. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you really feel got you into this line of work, apart from what you've already shared with us.
I feel like just helping other people is probably the biggest thing, and feeling like seeing change in others, in like that, I guess, in the knowing, like from the courses and stuff that I've done and implementing a structure and seeing how when you have support around you, like how that can like keep accountability and, is drastic sort of changes that can happen, in quite a short amount of time. And then as you go deeper into like releasing and doing other work, then there's like other stuff that comes up and that sort of, transformation journey is a lifelong journey, I believe. But like initially it would be like, it would have just been when I like started to do that sort of stuff myself and then see the ripple effect to others, that it's like, this can be such a transformational thing to be able to, be that change in myself, to then see that change externally, and how can I help and give back to others in a way that, there has been people through my life that have given and helped me to get to that point. And I think it's just that other part of, like being a tradie since I left school and that, it's like I'm good with my hands and I can build stuff and that, but it doesn't fulfill me in the same way that like helping other people transform and live their best life and feel empowered. That really lights me up on a soul level, where I'm empowered to do that, where I go to just be a tradie and I'm like, I kind of just zone out and my head's kind of not on anything for the whole day. And I'm like, I spent 12 hours here and, feel like I've got a bit of a workout, but not the same as, after I get off the phone or like off the Zoom with a client and stuff, I just feel empowered and like this Zoom has done for yourself. It gives you time to reflect on things, and I believe that the universe puts you with people that like where you still have things to heal, or it brings up things where you have gone through that yourself and takes you back there, and you're like, I've got a different perspective on this now. Like, this is cool, because like I remember being in that seat myself, like, X amount of years ago or whenever that was. And I think that that's like such a rewarding feeling that is I don't know. It's just, I can't describe like how rewarding that is. Like it's just a beautiful
Well,
thing.
it's understandable as a fellow coach, health and wellness coach, life coach, um, studied behavioral science, and some of the stuff that you were talking about, I studied as well. We studied together. I do feel I can relate to what you're saying. Only last week, a client that paid to do my footprints retreat, which is a 3-day retreat, ended up moving to Port Macquarie. And he moved with his parents over there and he moved in with them. And anything he does is never enough for him. And he rang me out of the blue and he said to me, I want to talk. And he started crying on the phone and he broke down, 33 years of age. And, his dad and mum, told him that he was too fat, or, you're a fat person and you need to lose weight, this and that. And then he lost all this weight, lost 12 kilos, and he's looking super fit and that. And he even sent me some photos and that. And he said, I'm feeling so good about myself. I've got 2 new jobs now. I'm a manager. And not only that, he's one of the best chess players in Australia. He becomes so good in chess that when he plays on the computer in these competitions and that, he actually got banned because he got so good and they had to investigate him. And then they reinstalled him and they apologized for even second, or judging him for being, for being corrupt or doing something wrong because he becomes so good. He's one of those young men that when he puts his mind to something, he does really well at anything. And he rang me on the phone and he was crying. And he was crying because he didn't feel validated, because they wanted to go and drink and smoke and play pokie machines at the local RSL and stuff like that. And he didn't. He wanted to train. He wanted to stay home and read a book, watch a movie, or work on a few projects and stuff. And they just thought he was a loser. And that's his parents. That's the guy's parents. He's 33 years old. And it's incredible how detrimental people can be. Our closest allies can be our worst allies, I'm not going to say enemies, the people that bring you down and that, and it really is sad, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like when you said allies there, like maybe it just mean like for me it sort of stood out as like they can be the worst examples, I guess, and sometimes it's then sort of makes me reflect on the 5 people that you have around you, like the closest 5 people around you, like really shape your where you're actually going to go, and I feel like this has been a transition for myself over the last few months. I had another relationship breakup and then left my job that I'd entered into when I had my first breakup from my girl's mum and stuff. And I think that it's reflecting on that and going like, I resonate with the guy that you're just sharing about then that doesn't want to go out drinking and using and like wants to stay at home and read and better themselves in that thing, because like I'm on that path myself. And it's that transition between sort of looking at that and then doing that deeper work as well and going like, what attracted me to this relationship? Like what attracted me to this friendship group? What attracted me to this job? Like, and is this serving me? And also like, am I serving it? And a lot of the like people that I had close to me then, it was like we'd go do something positive and we'd go play like a game of netball or something like that. And then we'd just go sit at Macca's and like, just talk. Like there was non-constructive stuff, and then I would just sort of shut down again, and then it would be like it was kind of pointless. And I'm like, what am I spending my time doing this for? Like, not only am I not getting anything out of this relationship, but I'm also not giving anything. Like, this isn't me where I feel alive. I don't feel vibrant. I don't feel like I want to converse with the other people that are there. Whereas when I leave gym in my own space, like most of the time when I bump into someone, it's like an hour and a half conversation, because like I'm in a really good space and in a good mindset. And, I notice that I've been noticing a lot lately is there's a sauna at my gym, and it's a time where you're kind of sitting there for like 20 minutes, half an hour or whatever. And, there's other guys in there. It's a like guys only sauna. So the amount of conversations I've had in there where you've got nothing else to do. So then it's like you just start talking and it's, a deeper conversation rather than when you're just sort of in on the gym floor and stuff. Like sometimes, you got your headphones in and a lot of people are just getting their stuff done. But in the sauna, it's a place to be able to share. And then that's led on to like different conversations and meeting other people that have put me onto, like different organizations and stuff around my local community, to be able to share some of my story and stuff as well too. And that's just come from that space of being vulnerable and sharing. But also sharing like that has then led me to meet other people that are like-minded and wanting to grow and have that growth and can see that side of myself. So I guess that sometimes the journey of, I've shared this before on my Facebook page and stuff as well. Like sometimes a journey of self-discovery and especially as a single father and stuff, it can, for me, it's felt quite lonely. It is a bit of that peeling away that onion and going like, you're going against the grain of most the sort of people. Like, when I'm just at work laying bricks or whatever, like most of the conversation of what everyone else is doing isn't what I'm doing. And then, but I feel like the more that you're on that journey and the more that you like stay on that, the more that you attract in, like yourself and
those energies.
And
I just keep going. Sorry.
And it's not like you don't need 1,000 people around you. Like the connections that you do share, even if they're just meeting that person for like a short amount of time in the sauna or whatever, it's like them connections are a lot deeper than what the ones are when I've spent hours around them, but we're just going to McDonald's and like talking there, So it's like, it's not always about the quantity of time spent with other people, but the quality of time that you spend with the other people.
Connection, yeah.
And like, the more that I read, the more that I like study, the more that I have to share about. And like, most of the conversations are just started in the sauna and you're like, look, I'm reading this book like this, and like someone else might be reading a book while they're in there. And, it's just starting around them sort of things. So when you're in that mindset of gratitude and healing and growth and sharing in that way, then it's amazing how you find other people that are on that same journey as well too.
Yeah, it's like you draw those energies to you. It's so true that you do that. I know that when I left high school, I was working as a pastry chef and I loved working in a bakery. My goal was always to open up a German kitchen, and work with all the Braun products, the Braun chocolate, tempering of the chocolate, making all the Braun cakes and the German pastries and stuff like that, the Danishes, and working with marzipan and all that sort of stuff. But, as I worked and went from one bakery to another bakery, it doesn't matter if it was French, doesn't matter if it was Italian, doesn't matter whatever it was, I realized that a lot of these people in hospitality or in these industries, they're drinking too much, smoking too much. I just had nothing in common with them. Just like you said, I'd go there, work my 10 hours a day or 9 hours a day, whatever it may be, and then come home and I found that I was spending most of my life in these kitchens, parts of my day, because if I wasn't working, I was having maybe 6 hours of the day for me to train or to eat, to walk around, which is really not that much when you think of it. And then I was going to sleep, so you have to sleep about 8 hours, and before you know it, the day's finished. So I think when I look at that and I listen to you share that, I realize how grateful I am and how lucky I am to be able to go out and open up my own business and work for myself and do what I love. Right now, as you know, it's my boxing gym and stuff like that. So I mean, that's great. That I think it's so empowering to hear you say that and hear you say that. You may not realize it, but you're on track going to do your own thing, not just going to work a 9 to 5 job or work for somebody under somebody else's banner, but go and call your own shots, do what you love doing. And yeah, that's amazing. I felt that way when I left the bakery and never went back. And it's been tough, but it's always something new, and I may not be rich financially from it, but I'm fulfilled doing what I like doing. And I think when I hear you say that, I feel that there's a lot of that in what you're saying.
Yeah, well, thank you. The other part that I sort of like resonate with then as well is like when you were just sharing about the other the people in that industry like drinking a lot and smoking a lot and stuff like that. Like that sort of renders a question for myself, and I know like what it's like because I've owned my own business like as a bricklayer and stuff as well too. So I have worked for myself in a sense, and then started that sort of journey before in trade and everything, but then this is like stepping into another part of like working for myself in transformation therapy. But I guess that the question that I render about that is that like why are we using like so much to do this job? And for me it's like it is that numbing sort of feeling of like I'm doing something that I don't enjoy doing. And when I break all that down, and this is like, a realization that I had it a while ago, but I still kind of hold on to it, is that like I hold on to like my bricklaying like business for longer than I really feel I should have. And I kind of lean into like doing that job now because it's kind of easier. But the other thing is like it's the one thing that my dad has told me he's proud of me for. Like, and that is like it's amazing how big that is when when I break all that down. It's like I was having a discussion I was with myself really, and I'd cleaned up my house and that, and I set all these like different to-do lists, and I smashed all that out, and then I was like, I was going to go around a gym, and I always kind of go to gym and pump weights and do that. And that's kind of like me, like what I want to do that for. And it's like, I kind of want to, like, I want to feel good and I love doing that, but that sort of, it's me wanting to be bigger and stronger and all that. But there's like this part of me that like that little inner boy just wants to go and have a kick of the footy, or wants to go to to the oval and just have a run and play and be like a little kid, because like I didn't really have a lot of that as a child. I felt like I had to grow up like so much quicker than what I really feel that I should have. And the other day I was here and I'm like, I've done that job, and then so I grabbed the footy and I went around to like the oval, and then I was like, when I got to the oval, there was like these 100-meter sprint lanes and that, and then so I was just like running with myself and just kicking the footy, and that's the sort of like time that like it's taking that back and going like, this is what I really need to do to grow myself and to like have that fun and nurture, because it's like I can give that to me, whereas I didn't always have that given to me when I was that little boy. So I think that part of when I relate back to it, it's like I wish that my dad was the one that was out there kicking the footy with me and telling me that he was proud of, like I used to, like I was a really good footy player in my juniors and won best and fairest and like leading goal kicker and all that sort of stuff. And I remember my dad being there sometimes, like, but I kind of just remember him at the canteen. I don't, like, he wasn't there as part of the thing and showing support and, like wanting to kick the footy with you, and I'd just be kicking the footy with myself like every single night after school and stuff like that. So for me to like break all that down, it's like that's what I wish that I got the acknowledgement or the I'm proud of you for, but I didn't get it for that. I got it for like bricklaying, which it's just a job to me, and it like it's pretty cool. It's cool that I can do that sort of stuff, but it's like I definitely hold on to that because I'm like, oh, someone's like my dad, and not just someone, like it's my dad. And I think because I've never like received that from anything else, it's pretty fucking important to me, to be honest. And
probably important for every kid, Matt. You're not wrong about that. I mean, I think a lot of kids would have felt the way you felt, maybe not the same extent, but I think we all have some childhood needs that are somewhat not met, and we try our best as parents now. We've got this gift you've got the gift of having two beautiful daughters, and I've got two beautiful kids, and we're in the driver's seat, and we're the ones that have got to project ourselves and give the best of ourselves and hope that we don't make the same mistakes that our parents did. And it's not easy being a parent, as you know, and let alone a single parent. I did want to ask you, because I know we can talk on for ages tonight, and I enjoy listening to what you have to say, but I really wanted to ask you this one particular question. The transition from being in a long-term relationship in a household, belonging to a bubble, a family, and I don't want to rehash old wounds or anything like that. I just want to ask you your honest opinion and your honest share. The transition that you went through and him becoming a single dad now, what was the biggest struggle that you faced?
Probably loneliness, and also the biggest thing has sort of been for me to do the work on myself to acknowledge that it's not just like my fault that the relationship broke down, and it's probably thinking about how it feels now. It felt like when I walked out the door, it felt like you're the one that chose to leave. You're the issue. And I kind of maintained that all the way through the relationship when I put my partner on the pedestal at the start, and then, felt like that lower sort of the thing from like coming out of rehab and feeling lower like that, and then feeling like I need the house, need the car, need the white picket fence, need the business, need the kids, need to get married, all that sort of stuff. And then basically having all that and then going like, I don't feel any better than what I did when I was, before I had any of this stuff and was still using every day. And that then made me kind of realize, like, look at the relationship and going like, I don't feel fulfilled, and then trying to work on that, like on a deeper level, and see counselors and psychologists and trying to like work through that sort of thing. So I feel like I could walk away and go, I've tried everything that I can try for that, and this relationship maybe isn't meant for us, and we got into it early and we're both searching for different things. But as a transition between what that felt like when I was in the house, I feel like it was two bodies were together, but I felt like our two souls were apart. And that then sort of transitioned into like when I walked out the door and chose to separate, then I felt like a lot of people that were not in the picture when we were together, like friends and family and everything like that, all sort of come out of the woodwork and help usually the mother in that situation, which I'm grateful that there's people around that, have helped and nurtured, firstly, my children and my ex-partner in that. But on my side of it, it feels quite lonely. And then, when you have the kids, like the amount of time that you do, you're kind of just trying to get used to like the routine. You're doing it all like by yourself kind of thing. So you have them in for short amounts of time, and then you're kind of like trying to get used to like their routine, what they're doing, what they're eating, like all that sort of stuff. And then before you know it, you're kind of giving them back, and then you kind of go back into that feeling of like, oh, the house kind of felt nice, like when everyone was here, and it felt like, there's unconditional, like the love that you have for your children and the love that you receive from your children is pretty fucking beautiful. It's pretty unconditional. It's it does fill you up and give you like a feeling that I don't feel like we get from many other things, other than like I get a lot from my dog. I feel like she's the only one that's kind of there with me now, and that's pretty unconditional too. And I don't have to give her back. But the other part is, I feel like it's been a lot of like loneliness, but then also that's kind of probably been the experience of healing as well, because you're kind of like transitioning and like we were sharing before, you're kind of clearing out that old energy and the sort of parts that are no longer serving you, and you're no longer serving that part either. So but it's that part of it's honoring yourself, and that has been something that I've struggled with for years, to be able to do that, like honor myself, be assertive in that, even if it feels like there's backlash, or not everyone else agrees with that
I
same process.
I you just said something earlier on, and I reflected on something where everything in your life, regardless whether it be a job that you lost. I know that I've uh, lost a job in the past. I didn't get a job in the past, or I didn't perform at a job, or I didn't get selected for a certain team or something like that. And part of you, and I think part of me felt like a failure. Part of me felt ashamed. Part of me felt unvalidated, embarrassed. There's so many emotions that go through these different experiences that we learn in life, and we don't realize how traumatic they can be. It could be something so simple as asking a girl out to the prom and not being able to get the validation of her saying, yes, I'll go out with you, and saying something really stupid and saying, oh, I would never, go to the prom with you or something like that. And you carry that for a long time. And all it is just you two young people just this not understanding a real, how to communicate. And she sees something different to what you see, and she's not interested, or you're too interested, or whatever it may be. And it is what it is. It's not anything any bigger, anything smaller, but you've been able to kind of, you've entertained it in a different way. And I think this has a lot to do with the way we move on in life. I've had a really incredible business myself, a really huge business where I bought into a gym and I lost everything and I became homeless. And from that, I had to build myself up again. And I said to myself, I'm never going to have another gym again. And my wife, my girlfriend at the time said, no, you will have a gym. You will promote fight nights. We will have our two kids. We will have our own home. You'll have your black convertible again and all that sort of stuff. And everything's come true. But really, like you said, nothing's really changed until we do that work on ourselves. And that's a great thing. I think that I hear in your voice, and I hear Nadia's voice and other people studying behavioral science. And I'm not saying it is what I am saying, it is part of the be all end all to our existence and understanding in living a much healthier, happier life. Not anything external like materialistic values or anything like that. But I think that's been such a huge impact in this journey for me. And I'm speaking for my own behalf, not anyone else's. But look, Matt, I know we can talk on for ages, and I know some of our viewers would love to know how to get a hold of you when they watch this back. So before we conclude tonight's Zoom, I want to ask you if anybody wanted to know a little bit more about the great work that you've been doing and how to get in contact with you. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, we can just search me up, Matthew Chapman on Facebook, or otherwise Matthew Chapman Coaching on Instagram. And there'll be two like pages. You can drop me an inbox in there and get in contact that way. Would be the best way.
Awesome. Well, it's really good talking to you tonight, Matt, and nice to have Linda here, supporting and watching. She's been very quiet there, but just wanted to share with some of our viewers on some events that are coming up on my plate here in Bondi. We're running a retreat. It's only a half-day retreat. We usually run the Footprints retreat, which runs for 2.5 days here in Bondi. This retreat only goes for half a day, where participants are going to be indulged and greeted with a yoga session early in the morning, just before sunrise on Bondi Beach with Emmeline, the yoga coach. And from there, they're going to move back to Bondi Boxing Gym, where they'll do some breath work, some human movement, and boxing class. And after that, they'll be served with some beverages and some delicious food from Up South Cafe, and they do some amazing foods. They've always catered my foods and our foods for the Footprints retreat and all the other retreats that we've done. After that, we're going to have a vision session. We're going to talk about neural transformation therapy, submodalities, internal representations, and a lot with that. And from that, then we're going to take a walk to Nimbus Health and Wellness Center, which is up on Bondi Road, and they've got ice bath, they've got infrared saunas, they've got massage therapists, and participants will be treated with an ice bath. And at the end of the retreat, everybody will get a chance to have some acai bowls and detoxing smoothie. It's going to be an amazing 5 hours that you spend at Nimbus and with me on the beach with a yoga practitioner at Bondi Boxing Gym. And some of the things that we're going to delve into with the behavioral science and other key takeaways that I believe anybody attending this half-day retreat is going to be able to take home and reflect on. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can email me on YNV Health and Wellness, or call me on 0402 622 662, or simply look up Mayday Ronan Coaching. It's been great having you here, Matt, and look forward to catching up with you in person. If you're here on the weekend for the coaching that's going on at Stanford Plaza with NTT and Luke and the others, feel free to give me a call. If I'm not doing anything, I'll come and get you and we'll hang out for a little while. I'll take you down, have a look at the gym, and we'll just grab a coffee or grab something to eat.
Yeah, that sounds perfect, mate. That'd be beautiful.
Awesome.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Nadia.
Thanks, Nadia.
Linda.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Nadia.
Bye.